Hey, what's up everyone? I just want to quickly thank you before we start the video for the love that you gave me on the last video that I posted. Just seeing the likes, the Reddit stuff, the Reddit gold, the comments on my YouTube profile just really made my day and motivates me to keep going. So yeah, thank you, and I hope you enjoy the video. Hey everyone, hope you are having a great day, and welcome back to part 3 of this full course on how to create a future bass or a melodic trap, beat or tune from start to finish. So we have a basic drum loop, we have some nice chords, we have a bass line, but it's really, lacking some detail and some nice things. So I thought, first of all, let's add some brass chords. These things generally sound really wide and they really fill out the stereo spectrum nicely. So here I'm just copying one of the chords of the progression just to make it a little bit less boring. And yeah, just copying it in, moving it around a bit. And let's check it out how it sounds like now. It's alright, this sounds nice, but the timing is wrong. So I'm just tweaking here. Much better already. Almost. Yeah, nice. I really like this. Now I also want to add some oomph to these two chords, so I'm just trying to copy them. It doesn't sound great yet, so here I'm just listening to what I hear in my head and see if I can figure out how to make it. In music production, this is generally what you should be doing. You just listen in your head, see if you hear something, and then you just try to create it. You should never feel limited by your personal skill, or you should never think like, oh, I'm not good enough to create this melody or chord progression. Just try to create whatever you have in your head. Much better already just by trying around some stuff. Still trying some stuff, try to make a little bit of variation. Let's just copy it over to the second 8 bars. And here I'm just fooling around with the sound, try to make it a little bit better, try to, just trying random stuff. You can see I'm changing octaves, I'm doing inversions, removing notes, adding notes, changing sounds, just to get to the sound that I have in my head. I already like this more. And again, I'm copying it over to the next 8 bars. Now I wanted to add a nice sustained note at the end of the bar. And it's just finding the right note now, and I've already found it. It's C6. So just copying it over. Alright. And just with these two simple changes, we have already made the beat sound a lot more full and musical. Just doing some general level tweaking here. Now it's time to work a little bit on the sequencing on the track. So I clone one of the patterns, so I get a unique one. And now we just try fiddling with some elements. For example, I made a classic house build-up clap. You will hear it in a second. I remove some elements and I make some elements legato, as you see here with Ctrl L. It's just tweaking some minor elements just to tweak it up a little bit. So you can see I'm removing the second chord from the brass. I'm making them sustained. Trying to fuck around with the octaves a little bit. And this is mainly just to add some variation to the intro as opposed to the actual drop. So yeah, this is why I skipped through this, because I'm mainly just fucking around basically. There's no real skill involved with this, I would say. Here I'm trying to make some kind of melody in between the notes. Just try it out, and I decide I don't actually like it after all. As you can see, I'm deleting it again. Didn't really like it that much. And so there's nothing lost in just trying out stuff, being creative, experimenting, trying out things you have never done before in a track. Now it's really time to add the 808. We have a really basic build-up, and now for the drop, it's time to remove the sampled bass line and to add the 808. What I'm doing here is a nice method to add 808 to your track. So as you can see, I'm copying over the bass line that we have created already with the bass instrument. I'm just copying it over to a high octave so it doesn't really bother us and it's easier to find the right notes. And then I'm copying the kicks. And as you can see, now I'm looking where the bass is at the F note. And I'm copying over all the kicks that are on this F note. Then I move them up to an F 1 octave higher. Now I'm looking for the E notes. So as you can see, I'm selecting all the kicks that would be on the E. Moving them up to E with shift them up and down. Now I'm selecting all the kicks that should be on C. As you can see, it's only 4. Moving them up again. And now it's just selecting the kicks that are on D and just doing the last couple of notes. Then we can remove the bass line, pitch it down by Ctrl up and down and make it legato with Ctrl L. As you can see, it's a really fucking quick way to make the 808 perfect. And it already sounds good, although I forgot to set the hold. Just do this quickly and boom, there we go, 808. Of course, it doesn't really sound that good yet, we have really fucked with it, but at least the notes are correct and nothing is disharmonic as a result. So here I am. My template is actually so big that sometimes I can't find sounds. I actually made a new one recently, but here I'm still using my old template. Now just select some notes that you think should have some variation and just pitch them up with Ctrl up and down. As you can see, this can add a lot of spice to your track already. But it's not completely perfect right now, so let's just keep tweaking it. It's already much better. It really adds a lot of groove just adding some stupid notes. Here I am adding slide notes. This really can add a lot of emotion to your 808. I'm sure you have seen odd producers use this too. I think it's just a really nice way to add a little bit more groove to the track. For example, right there, it's a nice effect. I really like it. Just trying out some stuff. And basically you're always trying to do octaves. You're never really trying to create a melody with the 808 as it would almost certainly clash. So here I'm just looking for the octaves. Just going 2 octaves down, going 1 octave up again. Let's see what it sounds like now. It's pretty epic, but the timing is wrong right now. Let's tweak this. Nice. That will get even the biggest subwoofer shaking. Going up on an octave can be cool too. Just trying it out here. Nice, actually, it's fine. Just copying it over again to the next 4 bars. Yeah, so here I'm just doing some leveling, just making sure the levels are right. And it's time to add some nice percussion elements just for a little bit of layering. Just to add more to the groove. I always feel like when you get the 808 down and you have the 808, the kick and the clap and your melody, this is when you can really start laying down. You can start building the track up. And when I'm doing percussion sounds and when I'm layering anything, I like to make it way too loud in the beginning, just so I can really clearly hear the difference. And then later on in the mixer, we're gonna mix it up real good. Do some EQ, do some reverb, do whatever to make it sound good, and level it in the mix. So yeah, here I'm just looking for the rhythm that I want. Just trying out things again. And this is what I came up with in the end. So yeah, let's just add some effects. Remove a little bit of the low end. Remove some of the mid frequencies with the automatic EQ. And raise all the shitload of the high frequencies. As you can see, it's a literal ton. It even makes it sound shit right now. So we're gonna work on that some more. And now we're gonna add a low pass to get rid of the most annoying frequencies. Just tweaking it a little bit. Making sure the volume is correct. And it's time to add some reverb now. This will make it gel nicely with the mix. I really love the tall reverb 4. It's really light on your CPU, it sounds great, and it's really quick and easy to use, you know. We have the beginning of a build-up and we have well, a basic drop. Now it's time to work on our individual elements a little bit more. Here I'm just tweaking the brass again. It's only the brass that is used in the build-up. And here it's time to add some sort of lead, at least to the intro, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Like chords and a bass line is fine if you are gonna have a singer on this track, but if it's just meant as a track on its own, you really need a lead. So how I do my melodies is I always find the first note that the melody should start on. I mean, that's really logical, I suppose, but this first note is really where I tweak for a long time, and then I just play it for a couple of times, and I just hear what I hear in my head, and then I try to recreate it. And actually this time I was really lucky, because I almost instantly made it. As you can see, I'm just tweaking a couple of the timings and that's basically it. And again, now I like this first part, now I'm searching for the third note that it should land on. And it can be a weird one, it can be really low, it can be really high, it doesn't matter, just try everything. And eventually we will find the optimal one. There it is, the C5. Very nice already, just by trying out some stupid stuff. It's really coming together now, the lead. So as you can see, I copied it over for the second bar, pitched it up some notes, and then I just made sure that all notes were at least in a scale. And as you can hear, it can give a really nice effect, like there's actually some progression in the melody. And then you just tweak a couple of notes just to make sure it still makes sense. And we already have a nice... And another tip I can give you is when you look at this lead line at the MIDI, the rhythm constantly changes. Like there are some very short notes, there are some longer notes, there are some kind of long notes, there are some pauses. You know, it's a pretty dynamic lead where stuff is actually changing. It's not just, you know, your random, totally obvious do lead. No, there's actually some rhythm changes going on and stuff. In my opinion, this is really what makes a track interesting and what really sets cool melodies apart from, you know, the shitty ones you find in MIDI packs. And now we already have a nice 2-bar loop. I wasn't really happy with the sound of the lead, so I started looking around some more. I really like this one. Really dreamy kind of sound. And again, here we are making some variations, and for the 4th bar, you know, generally this is where the progression ends and has to revert back to the start. So this is where you can generally make some pretty big changes actually and get away with it. This is also the part of the melody that will generally get stuck in people's heads. So this is where you should really invest some time and just try to make it as best as possible. But sometimes simple is also best, like here. Let's take a listen to the melody like it is now. Epic. I really like this melody. Okay guys, that was it for this week's course. And the next week we're just gonna keep working on track. It will be another 20 minutes of, well, basically this. Just keep working on it, trying to add stuff, making it sound good. And if you like this sort of thing, please be sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that sort of shit. Alright, see you later guys, bye.